Oh, great. Gus, it's great to always catch up with you. And
Likewise, fantastic to see you again, mate.
our memories go back, long way back from...
Oh gosh, back in the 2000s, back at, when I first joined Red Hat, one of my first trips at Red Hat was to come out to India and see the JV at Red Hat India.
Yes.
And actually one of my fond memories was spending time with you and Javed in India and building the Indian team until eventually Red Hat acquired the Indian JV. So that was really cool.
Yeah, it was fantastic time, exciting time, early days of open source.
Yes.
A lot of challenges.
Yeah.
And working together as a team was fantastic. I learned a lot from you.
I learned a lot from you and the team in India as well, yeah.
It was fun building Red Hat team. And then we started Ashnik journey in 2009. And when we again came together in 2013 when you joined NGINX. I remember meeting you in London when you were the first.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
And from there, NGINX journey, Ashnik NGINX journey started. So I wanted to understand, what are your memories of Ashnik from, you know me, but as Ashnik, what are your memories?
You know, it was interesting. Back in 2013, we just launched NGINX Plus at the end of the year. And we were just starting to sell this product. And I think you and I met in London, was it what, 2013 or 14?
13.
Yeah. And you approached me and said, well, let's partner. And I'm like, well, we don't even know how to sell this product ourselves yet. But, I think you had a lot of confidence in the technology and a lot of confidence that we'd build a company and a team around it. And so I think the first thing I remember about Ashnik is that you were our first partner, first reseller and channel partner that we had. And I think you were on the journey with us as we were learning how to sell this technology, how to position and message it, how to provide solutions to customers, the use cases. All of that we were learning on the fly together. And so I think you were our partner on the journey right from the start. So that's my earliest memory.
Exactly, that's true. When we were just starting off in India and NGINX happened exactly under that time. And it was fantastic learning curve, great journey. That time we were small. We were just...
We or you?
Both.
Yeah, I think we were both small. I think in 2013, we were like 10 or 12 people.
Globally.
Right? Yeah, yeah, and I think you were what, 7 or 8?
7
yeah, so we were about the same size, right?
Yeah. And I remember you telling you were the first person outside Russia as a NGINX person.
Yes, I was the first employee outside Russia. Yeah. And for the first 12 months, I didn't hire anybody new.
Yes.
Because we hadn't built a technology that we could sell, and we didn't want to spend more money of the venture capital money that we'd raised until we felt we had a commercial product that we could generate revenues from. So yeah, it stayed that way for a full year.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So how have you seen the journey of Ashnik from there?
For us, I think I always viewed Ashnik as an extension of the NGINX team. From my perspective, I think our relationship started with Ashnik covering India, and India as an agency, so almost an extension of NGINX managing the Indian continent for us. And I think, for me, it's evolved beyond that now. I think, Ashnik has focused on not just the customers in India, but also the systems integrators and how those systems integrators can absorb our technology. So I think that's been part of the journey. I've seen you and your team take the NGINX business beyond India now into Southeast Asia as well. One of the great things I loved about Ashnik, by the way, of course, was Sandeep coming across. Sandeep was with us at Red Hat, and then I think he went to IBM for a while and worked on mainframes. I'm not sure what that was all about, Sandeep. But anyway, you came back into the fold, came back to the open source team and part of Ashnik. So for me, seeing that familiar face was really important. To me, the thing, if I look at Ashnik, what I like probably the most is the fact that you're bringing open source technologies together, not just NGINX, but Enterprise DB, Elastic, Docker, of course, and bringing together an aggregate of open source solutions to customers and helping them create solutions from those open source components that help them build better applications and better business and digital experiences for their customers. To me, I think that's the future. I mean, we all know that open source is at the core of most businesses now, but most people don't know how to link the pieces together. Creating joint solutions that show, for example, how Elastic and NGINX work together and how that can provide a better solution for the customer, I think is very powerful.
Yes, that's the journey we are actually all on, and that is why customers value us putting things together. So, coming to another question related to this is you and me have seen open source for last almost 20 years
Yes.
now, and especially in this world of now cloud computing, everything as a service,
Yes.
especially everything is being offered as a service. How do you see open source's values being really adopted by the customers?
By the customers?
Yes, sometimes, I mean, to elaborate, sometimes I worry that customers are forgetting the value of open source. They are focusing too much on everything as a service.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
how do you see, what are your experiences?
Yeah, I see a number of different things. And so there's probably three things there. Number one, I see open source companies getting acquired by other technology companies. We know Red Hat was acquired by IBM. We've been acquired by F5. So to me, I'm seeing open source become a part of larger technology companies. In the past, like when Oracle acquired MySQL, you think that they're acquiring them to crush them and basically take a competitor out of the market. I actually think that's different now. I think technology companies are buying open source companies to infuse open source DNA into their companies so that they can adopt the same principles and methodologies and cultures and use that as an accelerant for them to be able to innovate faster the way that open source has. So that's one aspect of it. I see the cloud providers taking open source, and I see someone, I don't want to name names because I'll get in trouble, but certain cloud providers are taking technologies and not contributing anything back. And I see other cloud providers working with the actual open source companies and communities and not trying to just take the technology and sell it and keep the community and the company away, but actually bring them into the fold as part of the model. I would say Microsoft is probably leading the charge in doing that as a cloud provider and probably the most open source friendly of the cloud service providers that I've seen.
Yes.
So it's interesting to see that the cloud providers are taking different approaches. I do believe that the ones that embrace the companies in the open source community will be the ones that benefit the most over time. I think the ones that take advantage of open source and don't contribute back will suffer. I do really believe that, but for the time being, we have to see, we're living with both, so we'll have to see how that plays out. And then the third one, which is really the customer one, the question that you asked, is I think the customers are still getting used to open source, right? It all started with customers buying off-the-shelf open source from companies like Red Hat. Now, customers are actually creating their own open source projects, right? Netflix is a great example. Capital One is another example. We know that Lyft actually created Envoy, right? And then made that an open source project and in the community. So we're now seeing that customers are creating open source projects and building teams around open source. But then I'm also seeing that works as a nice branding and marketing exercise, but it not necessarily makes sense when those projects take off because those people leave and then start companies to then build those projects. And so I think customers are still understanding how to become a contributor of open source communities, how to start and manage projects, and how to benefit from those projects when they take off. So I still think it's early days from a customer perspective.
Oh, okay, fantastic. And another important, I would say, entity in all this business is partner ecosystem.
Yes.
And we have seen the role of partner ecosystem has evolved, and especially now that every technology company wants to offer their technology as a service.
Yep.
And a customer has a direct access with the technology and technology provider both.
Yep.
In that context, how do you see a partner's role, and what would you expect from partners?
It does get more difficult now that I think let's say, for example, if NGINX was to start a service on the cloud and host the service, customers come directly to the service and purchase, right? They're not necessarily going through a partner. I do see two things. One is expertise on the ground. We will never have expertise on the ground in let's say, in India or in many of the Southeast Asian countries. So I think being a trusted advisor to those customers is one thing. I think the second thing, though, is bringing those technologies together. So once again, it's not just NGINX, it's an NGINX Elastic, it's Kubernetes, it's Docker, it's all those environments together. And being able to position that on top of the platform of choice that the customer is running, whether that platform is their own data center or running on a cloud. You can absorb these various services, but actually integrating them and making them work is still difficult, right? And if you can do that in a packaged way where you provide your own intellectual property that helps customers do that quicker and with less downtime and problems, then I think you're going to have great relationship with those customers and bring great value. So I also like the fact, am I allowed to talk about your subscription
Of course.
technology?
Yes,
I mean, I really like that idea. If I think of one of the problems that I've seen in open source since I've been involved with Red Hat and now NGINX is that customers buy subscription, but they still don't know how to manage a subscription and know when a renewal is due. And if you're working with many different vendors, that's difficult. If you can have a single aggregated portal where purchasing knows and IT knows and everybody knows that they're doing the right thing from a compliance perspective and managing their subscriptions correctly, I think that's a great added value you can bring to your customers.
Fantastic, you made my day. And yeah, I mean, actually, the platform of choice, that's a key thing. And you are saying partners have to become, their persona has to become more of a system integrator than just a reseller of old days.
Absolutely, 100%.
And not just system integrator, but basically also expertise in the platforms, because you have many choices today.
And I think the difficulty of that is how do you become an expert in so many breadth of technologies, right?
Yes.
But I think that's what customers also struggling with. So if you can bring that, that's a real value.
Fantastic. Great. It was fantastic talking to you.
Hey, mate, and congratulations on your 10-year anniversary. Super
you
proud
so
of you and the team. Congratulations, everybody.